Okay, so welcome back to In the Kitchen with Jelly. And tonight, I've had a few requests recently for corned beef and cabbage. So, cutting to the chase right quick, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it in that 8-quart Ninja Foodi. I'm sure you could get by with this in the 6.5. You just cut down on something, maybe not. I mean, it's a 4-pound corned beef brisket, or actually it's 3.92, and I'm using a Murphy and David. I'm using garlic, I'm using rosemary, I've got some parsley here, I've got carrots, I've got leeks, an onion, of course some cabbage, and a rutabaga. Because I found a recipe of all the ones I've looked at and all the ones that came, you get your email and all that stuff. The one I found and the one I picked out kind of changes a little bit because it doesn't use potatoes, I get. I'm not really sure what traditional really calls for, but I'm pretty sure it's potatoes, if anything. Well, I'm going to use a rutabaga just because it's a root vegetable. I love root vegetables, and rutabaga I haven't had in a while, so I think it'll work fine. And the recipe looked very good, the one I looked at. So I've got to cook this for 85 minutes. It's similar to my pot roast, if you saw the one I just put up. It's where you cook the meat and for an extended period of time to get it right, and then you put your vegetables in at the last of it. And this one calls for 85 minutes on the corned beef, which I'm going to change a little bit. I'm going to take it to like 75, and then I'm going to let it do a natural release because they called for a quick release. I'm going to do 70 or 75 minutes, and then a natural release for 15 minutes, and then it's the same way I did my pot roast, and then bleed it off if the pin hasn't dropped. And then it calls for these right here for 4 minutes. And I'm probably going to stick pretty close to that. You take everything out, you drain it, you put this back in and all this back in, or what you have ready, your cabbage, your rutabaga, and your carrots and your leeks. And then you do 4 minutes additional to it. And then quick release that. So I'm going to get that going, and I'll be right back. And we're going to do corned beef and cabbage with root vegetables. Y'all hang on. I will be right back. Okay, so one of the great things about this recipe is that you got a lot of time to do your vegetables while it's cooking, and that does make sense. So what I've done here is I just kind of chopped up that onion into fairly small pieces. I put it on the bottom because that kind of holds the roast off the bottom. I'm not sure it matters or not, but that's what I did. I put the packet of spices that comes with the Murphy and David corned beef brisket. I put that on top, of course, and then 3 cloves of garlic is what I put in there. You could add more or less, of course, and I minced that garlic. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to add beef broth till, well, the recipe I found called for 6 cups. I'm going to just see how it looks. This is 32 ounce. This is a 32 ounce container. So this is 4 cups. And I got a feeling that's going to be pretty close. I do want to cover it because that's just kind of the way. And without those onions on the bottom, that would have done it. And I'm sure it will cook down to where it's at. But because I got this other one, I am going to add just a little bit. And it really didn't matter if I put those spices on top or not because I have rinsed them off. But it's not going to matter. It's all going to be in the same place. So I've used about, I'm going to say 6, probably what they said, 6 cups. So maybe they were right. I think, though, I thought that was going to be a little much. But, hey, looks like I may have been wrong. So now all I got to do is set this in the Ninja. Put the lid on. And then, of course, turn it on. Pressure on high. For, I'm going to go 70 minutes. And the reason I say 70 minutes because I'm going to do a 15-minute natural release and then release it. So that's an hour and 10 minutes. And there it is set up. We'll see how this does, and we are off and running. I'm going to lock the lid to seal. We're going. It might take a while with that 6 cups of liquid in there to come up to pressure. But I tell you what, it is right now, it is 9:20. So I'll tell you exactly how long that took to come up so you'll have an idea how long the total recipe will be. Be right back. Okay, so there it is, all the way to pressure, just starting at 70 minutes. and it's 9:36. So that took exactly 16 minutes for 6 cups of beef broth to come to pressure and start the countdown. But be back when that happens. I'm gonna be working on this. I may bring it back and show you some of that in a minute, but I'm fixing to work on getting these cut up while I got 70 minutes. Or actually I got 85 because I'm gonna do a 15-minute natural release. Be right back though. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on these vegetables a little bit. It's all common sense, and it's probably elementary, and most of you don't need to see it. But I peeled the rutabaga with this, and you'll get a little green. I got all that off best I could. It's not going to hurt anything if you don't. And then I cut it in half, and then I just did this right here. I cut it into 1 inch or so thick slabs. And then I did this first, cut it this way, then spin it and chop it like that. Like I said, this is really kind of elementary. The leeks, now this is what they're considered a stem vegetable, as they say, not a root vegetable, but a stem. And I just wanted to kind of use one. And all I did with that was I cut the very end of that off, and then like 1 inch pieces like this right here, and then cut that in half. And you could have done that either way you wanted to. But that's what that involves. Now, the carrots, I don't think I have to explain that to you. You can cut them ever how you want. I think, especially under pressure, they do a little better, bigger. And I did cut some of them in half, and it's not going to matter. Now, the cabbage, what it calls for here, and I think it is going to be a good idea, is to leave the stem intact. And I am, but I'm going to cut a little bit of that off. I think a little bit, just to get the dried edge off. And then I'm just going to pretty much quarter it. So I'm going to start from this end right here. And that. And then lay it like this. Come from right here. That is one side. And here is the other. Now I may not have hit dead center on that, as you can see. I got a little bit off to the left or the right. But long story short, that's going to work. And under that pressure for 4 minutes, you will not have a problem with that being plenty done. So, of course, now I did take off the outer layers, and as again, some obvious stuff. And then on these leeks, and like I said, the truth honest, I haven't used these a lot, if ever. So that's what I'm calling what they want, and I think it'll be perfect like that. It's just another addition or something a little bit different in this corned beef and cabbage. And the rutabaga, I think it's going to be the same way. So long story short, I'm looking forward to it. But anyhow, make this a little shorter. I'm going to cut this off. But like I said, most of that elementary, but there you go. Now you know how I'm doing it. Be right back. Okay, so there is the end of our 70 minutes. And like I said, the recipe I'm copying, or pretty much copying, I've changed a few things, called for 85 minutes of pressure and then quick release. Well, to me, 70 minutes and then letting this count up to 15 is pretty much the same thing. It's still, the temps are still there, the pressure's still there. It's just releasing real slow. And I've read or heard that when you dump all the pressure right quick, it makes the meat kind of contract and tighten up. So we're going to let it go for 15 minutes like here, and it's still cooking just like it was before. At this moment, I'm sure it is exactly like it was before. So, but you can see, during that time, I've got my vegetables ready. I've got my strainer set up where we're going to pull the meat out, set it here for now, and then strain off 2 cups of liquid. And then we're going to put all this back in there with that. But I'll show you all that in a minute, or not in a minute, but in 15 or 14 minutes. And I'll be right back then. Y'all hang on. Okay, so there is the 15 minutes. And the pen, obviously, well, it hasn't dropped. So I'm going to release the pressure. We'll see how long that takes. Okay, so there it went at 17 minutes and 43 seconds. So that means obviously it took 2 minutes and 43 seconds to bleed down. We're going to take a look at it. Although we're nowhere near done, but whoops, if I hadn't fogged the camera up, it looks good. It looks like it should. That's exactly what a piece of corned beef should look after it comes out of the pressure cooker. So, set this down and get this out of the way. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to let that sit just a minute. I'm going to knock off the keep warm, and I'm going to let it cool just a second, and then we're going to take that out, put it here, and we're going to strain everything off in this strainer into this Pyrex measuring cup, by the way. Make sure you're using Pyrex. But anyhow, we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so all I'm going to do right now is move this over to right here for now. And we're going to move this out of the way. You can see it. It looks good. I got a feeling it will be. We're going to move this. We'll put this here. This right here. And then I got to get some something to hold this pan with, I think. Yes, because that's hot, but I'll be right back when I do that. All right. Took me a second to find these, but here they are. And now we're going to do, and like I said, again, Pyrex dish. Just pour this off, and it may be, it's way more than I need, so I'm not sure I'm going to use it all. I'll set it back right here because that's plenty. And I'm going to finish straining that out, so I'm going to get some of this somewhere else because all we're going to do is put 2 cups of this back in there with those vegetables and cook it 4 minutes. So y'all hang on, all right back. Okay, and because I only want 2 cups of it, all you do is lift this out, it's obvious. Now you are kind of losing the onions, and I'm not going to try and recover them. It's not a big deal to me. I'm going to let them go in there with those seasonings. I'll lay that right here, and then I'm going to pour this down to 2 cups. Roughly, and since I got it in here, it'll be a lot easier to pour back if I need it. And that's 4, so about half of that, which I can feather that out a little bit. That's 3 cups, I think. So I will get that to closer to 2 cups. But one thing I want to show right now while I can is something I talk about all the time with the Ninja, and it is something it does as good as anything, as any device or any dish or anything I've ever cooked in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this out, and I'm going to show you what I mean by nothing sticks. That right there is, you can see, a paper towel is all I'm going to use to wipe that out. And I'm going to do that, and then we're going to put those vegetables in. But anyhow, I'll get this going. I'll get that back in there, and then we're going to put all that in there and make that happen for 4 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, for the record, right here is, this is what this does. Every single time, everything I've cooked. Now I know this is a little different because it's boiled, but this is pretty much all you ever have to do, and I harp on it all the time, so I just wanted to show it. So I'm going to get that all the way cleaned out, and we're going to put some vegetables in there right now. As a matter of fact, yeah, I want to get those grains out of there. I'll be right back. Okay, so I pretty much, you can see that's clean as it can be. Paper towel, 2 cups of the broth. We cooked everything in, strained all the seasonings from the corned beef brisket packet is out of there. I strained that out. Now we're just going to drop all these vegetables in. I'm going to put the, which is the rutabaga, the leek, the carrots, and then I'm going to put that 4 tablespoons. I'm using a half a stick of unsalted butter. It's what they call for, and I kind of agree. It's already got plenty of salt in the in that broth. You know, you don't really need a lot more. So we're going to put that in. just like that. Take my word, it'll melt. You don't have to cut it up. And then I'm going to put the quartered cabbage in. Kind of arrange it best you can, about like this, say. And let me get a towel to wipe my hands off. And I'll show you one more time, but I mean, it's elementary. It's simple. It's simple as you get. I'm going to put the lid on. We're going to hit pressure. We're going to do 4 minutes, which, I mean, that could be, you know, you can adjust this. We'll see how it does. But those rutabagas, I'm not really sure how they're going to cook, so we're going with 4 minutes as they stated. So that's where we are. Of course, you got to lock the lid. We're off and running, and we'll cook those vegetables. And I've got, by the way, I've got the corned beef brisket loosely kind of covered with some aluminum foil, just staying warm. And I'll slice it against the grain and put those vegetables around it in just a minute. We're going to eat some. Be right back. Okay, so while those vegetables are cooking, this is what they mean by against the grain. In case you don't know, you see those stripes running, and even right there you can tell that's kind of the grain. It's kind of stringy in that direction. Well, that's what they mean by against the grain. So you just slice it fairly thin is what I'm going to do, and that's what they did in the recipe that I kind of took most of what they did. But against the grain is the big part. And I'm not going to slice all of this because I'm not going to eat it all tonight. This will be eaten tomorrow. But that right there, if you ask me, is excellently cooked corned beef. And you can leave it in the crock pot all day if you want to, but it's not going to get much better than that right there. So we'll get these vegetables around it, and like I said, well, I'll show you up close. It looks pretty good, and it is. It has a great flavor. It's simple, and we're fixing to put more vegetables around it, so be right back. Okay, the 4 minutes on the root vegetables and the cabbage and all is done. I'm gonna bleed that down and be right back. Okay, so there went the pan. Let's see what these vegetables look like. And that cabbage looks excellent. I don't know if I steamed. I don't think I steamed the camera. Yep, maybe I did. Let me set this down. And the main thing I want to try, I feel confident that cabbage is done. I do want to test the rutabaga, and it is done. I can tell you that. In fact, I'm going to knock this keep warm feature off. And it's not, I don't think it's, I'm not going to say it's overdone. It's just done. It doesn't need any more. I don't have 2/4, but you can see it's fair, it's soft. It's still got a little firmness, so we're good. I'm going to get that off that heat, and because I don't want it to cook any longer. And then we're going to place that around that roast. So just to show you, I mean, just for that, because I can, you know, this is probably the best way to stop something as fast as you can from cooking, is you just pull the liner out. Now you're pretty much it's cooling as fast as it's going to cool. It's not going to continue to heat, because that obviously holds a lot of heat. So anyhow, we're going to get those put around this roast over here, or around this corned beef, and see how it looks and see how it eats. Be right back. Okay, so we're going to start with, obviously, the cabbage. I'm going to take it out and see how it does. And if you were serving this, obviously, to 4 people, this is a perfect situation for 4 people. You would give them, you know, I don't have to tell you that. So you understand. Now, or you can break this up. So obvious. I'm not even going to finish the sentence. So there is the cabbage, and it looks like it's cooked right. I mean, it feels good. I think it is. And you could pretty that up a lot better than I am. And then, let's see, the rutabagas. I mean, they excellent color. I mean, if you're looking for that kind of stuff, I don't think you need to crush on them with the tongs. And not to say, and I don't know yet, because I haven't tasted them, not to say they're overcooked. I'm just saying they're cooked. There's no doubt. So, I mean, again, it might be something you back off a little time on, but we got to see what the cabbage is like too. But I think it's all going to be, I feel absolutely positive. So I'm going to get this laid out on here a little bit, and I may even tent it for a minute and let it just sit, rest a minute. I mean, in real situation, that's what you would do anyhow. You would be trying to get it to the table. So I think, and I also think putting that aluminum foil tent on it will help, but it'll also buy me a little time. So I will get this done, and I'll be right back. Y'all hang on. All right, I mean, there it is, and that doesn't need any introduction. It looks great to me, and these right here, I put a little pepper on them, but man, the rutabagas bring this together, if you ask me. Nothing against potatoes, but, and I haven't even tried the cabbage. It looks fantastic. I'm fixing to try it, but the rutabagas, I was worried, you know, I wouldn't say I was worried. They're cooked, but they're excellent. And believe me, I haven't eaten them in a while, and they are excellent. And I was missing, you know, I was craving them a little bit. Oh, when I saw them in the recipe, I knew I wanted them. I put it like that. And that's why. They're good. And been a long time since I ate them. And this right here won't hurt. And this is what the recipe was some parsley. I mean, maybe it didn't want it on the cabbage. But just some fresh parsley. And I think you can impress people with something like this. Pretty easy, pretty quick. And like I said, even though it's a little off take of the traditional corned beef and cabbage, got a feeling there's going to be nothing wrong with it. And I'm fixing to cut that up and eat some of it to make sure the cabbage is good. But the rutabagas, they are a hit. And so is the corned beef. So I can't imagine it not being excellent. But either way, be right back. Okay, so I will say this is probably the best corned beef and cabbage I've ever cooked. And it's spot on. It's an excellent way of doing it if you think about it, where you cook the meat first and then you put your vegetables in, because that cabbage is absolutely perfect. And it being in that wedge, I think, helped it. So, and the rutabagas, I mean, I was craving rutabagas, and they're good. They're excellent. And the carrots too. You know, but you take this right here, I mean, everything's good. But you take all right, let's take, that right there is what all competition people look for, some pull. And this got it. I mean, at the 85-minute or 70-minute or whatever you want to say, it's cooked right. That's all I'll say. Try it. I think you'll find, I've cooked them on my green egg. I've cooked them on my electric smoker. I've never had it come out any better. And I don't know how much better you get than that. And I've ate a bunch of it, and it is excellent and a great flavor. It has well, it's corned beef, you know, and it's great. It is good, and it's cooked perfect. But anyhow, y'all come back to see me. Thanks for watching my videos. I swear that's a big deal. Thank you for watching, and like, share, subscribe if you don't mind, and come back to see me. Y'all have a good day or a good night, and bye bye.